Hey, it's Chuck. We are not bemoaning the noon kickoff. We are now owning it. It's a badge of honor. We're the lunatic fringe that defines our coach's legacy when it comes to this game. They don't get to define that outside the family. We're cut from a different cloth for Ohioans. He's got it all, man. He's even got the jaw. You know the jaw. You see that jaw, and you're just like, yeah, man, that's a dude. Do I want Michigan to beat Oklahoma? No way in hell. I don't know what world I'm living in. This is insane to me. And if you saw my outburst, I apologize. It's showtime now. What we saw in practice translated on the field doesn't always happen that way. All the young guys, all the transfers, all the freshmen who came to the national championship, who were traveling throughout the playoffs, those early enrollees, those guys visualizing being in that situation themselves, all that translated. They were ready for it. That was Ryan Day yesterday at his press conference, talking about all the new guys that are out there playing at a very high level here in game number 1. And we talk about things, and I talk about it all the time. Championship DNA. It kind of just hit me in the face when I was listening to him say that. Like, sometimes we watch a program win a national championship, something kind of takes hold in the program and you can't really explain it, but you know when you see it from time to time in college football, and they're able to turn over the roster after a national championship, and the new guys that come in are new to us on the outside looking in. They come in and they're starting. We saw it at Clemson. We saw it obviously at Alabama, Georgia in 21 and 22. But the new guys look just like the old guys. They look ready for the moment. They look just as good. They're just as fast. They're just as sound. And there's something that can happen when you get just the right recipe going on in your program with everybody pulling in the same direction, and the culture and the values, the selflessness. And it's just been that way for a certain period of time that you can hold on to. And it just continues to elevate you and you win at the highest level. Every coach wants a culture of selflessness, sacrifice. That's the goal for every single coach in college football. But so few at the highest level of college football can actually get that done. You see it at D3 schools a lot. You see it at some programs at the FBS level, programs like Kansas State, Iowa State comes to mind, like guys that just, their whole culture and identity is about selflessness, under-recruited guys playing above their level, the power of the team over the individual. And you see it, and it's like, it's cool. It works for them at that kind of level. You so very rarely see it at a blue blood program. And Ryan Day has been able to do it at the biggest program of all. The selflessness from the top down. And when we look at guys, and some would say, like, look at Brandon Inniss. Brandon Inniss waited his turn, waited till year 3. Forget Brandon Inniss. Look at a guy like Bryson Rodgers, who's still not playing at all. That's a kid that could be starting anywhere. I can't stress how good this guy is. That kid could be starting at 130 of 136 schools, 130 of them. And he is at Ohio State with a great attitude and just wait until he can contribute, practicing as hard as ever. And there's a dozen examples of guys like that on this team. And what's happening at Ohio State, it's special. In addition to the championship, you've got a championship coaching staff who is now clearly showing us they can win in multiple different ways. We saw one Saturday, some under the impression that this 2025 team, like what we just saw, is what we're going to get, a defensive-led team that's going to win ugly and limit possessions and, win like the old Ravens defense or something. I totally disagree. It's a great defense, no doubt. But I think we're going to see this offense unleashed. And I think as Ohio State fans, I think it's important sometimes as we're living in the moment. So often we look back and say, like, man, we had it good at this point, or this and this was happening back then. But it's important to recognize sometimes in the moment what we're going through. And I think that right now we could be living in the most successful stretch of Ohio State football we'll ever experience in our lives. The run that Ohio State went on at the end of last year to win the national championship, coming in this year as the defending national champion, losing 15 guys to the NFL, rolling over so much of this starting roster, and the Buckeyes come in and are now number one in the country, odds-on favorite to win the national championship, just beating the number one team that was the odds-on favorite to win the national championship to start off the year. And that puts Ohio State in its last 10 games, having beaten 7 top 10 opponents. It's just stupid to say. It's silly to think. 7 top 10 opponents in 7 games. It's very rare that we may ever see this opportunity come up again to be able to knock off 7 teams that rank that highly in 10 games. 6 top 5 opponents in a row. That's so crazy. Ryan Day was 2-6 against top 5 opponents, and he's now won 6 in a row. And as we sit here at number one in the country, the defending national champion, there have just not been many days in our lives, if you're around my age or younger, where we can say Ohio State has been in better position as a program than it is right now, or been closer to being considered by the rest of college football as the most dominant program in college football, like the program in college football. I believe it is. I believe that after they won the national championship. And it's the first time in my life I can say that. After this win, I really feel that way. Ohio State now rolling over the roster and still cooking like this, the attitudes, the players that are emerging, the leaders that are emerging. Ohio State, the best program in college football, hands down right now. The very top of the food chain. They've overtaken Georgia for that role. Georgia, who's back-to-back national championships in 21 and 22, put them there. They were that dude, and Georgia is still right there. But Ohio State, in my opinion, has supplanted them as the top program in college football. And as of now, I don't think that's changing this year. They're the best program. Other times in my life that Ohio State potentially could have argued for that spot, 2015, where they came in as the odds-on favorite with so much obvious first-round talent. We might have as much first-round talent on this team right now. We just don't know it yet. But coming in as such a huge favorite to win the national championship that year, and at this particular time in that 2020 or 2015 season, they were definitely the odds-on favorite to win the national championship. But they were doing that in an era where Nick Saban was still at Alabama. And Alabama was always going to be considered that top-tier program in that era. Even if they had won back-to-back, I still think that would be the case. That's not the case right now. It's wide open for anybody to take, and I think right now it is the Buckeyes who are that dominant program. And it could be the most dominant period of Ohio State football that we will ever experience in our lives. So I choose to recognize it and enjoy it. And it appeared, honestly, the end of the 2023 season, the Ryan Day tenure was heading down the wrong track. It was heading down. That 2023 season didn't feel like it had felt. You lose the game, the quarterback transfers, the team just played, it just felt uninspired most of the year. Then you had the disgusting Missouri experience. Everything felt like it was trending down. And that was not very long ago. When we look from that point to now, what an insane change. I mean, I got a story about the end of that game, that Missouri game, but the change that we've experienced from then to now is just crazy. And I just think that it's important to acknowledge where we're sitting right now. When we look at all the little nitpicky things that we can say here or there, like, man, it's damn good to be a Buckeye, maybe never been better. And it's important to note that.